You're tuned into SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Oh, and you're on mute to start the show without Rob. That is so wonderful. You don't have Rob, and you can't even get off mute. Welcome into SEC Sunday Night. Obviously, Rob is not here right now. Craig can't figure out the buttons. He is Craig McMichael. I am Casey from Sluggo. We're here on SEC Sunday Night. And hopefully Craig can figure out how to get off mute, grab a drink. It's time to talk ball. Welcome to SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network. I am your host, Craig McMichael. Oh, wait, no.
Wait, you're not Craig McMichael?
I forgot about the script. I should have started from there, but that would have been funnier. Welcome back.
Oh, my gosh. I think Rob's in the transfer portal, or is he not in the transfer portal? Did he hit the portal?
No, please, God, no. I got way too many other things to do. I'm just here to help fill in. No, Rob is not in the transfer portal.
Well, maybe he can help me figure out how to turn off my mic, because no clue. A little inside baseball here. Up at the top of your screen, there's a little spot where you can see the microphone. And while the intro's going, I am not able to see that thing. I am maximizing the screen and minimizing the screen. So on that note, let's have a little drink here. Refreshing ice water here.
Same. You wouldn't think that though after the opening to this one. Sorry, Rob. We miss you, pal.
Hey, happy 2026. So yeah, happy New Year to everybody. How was your New Year, buddy?
It was great. We made it to, I think, almost 11 o'clock, partying like crazy, watching some game, watching that Miami game, right? Was that New Year's Eve? What game was it?
That was Miami, Ohio State. And then they were previewing. You're not a Ryan Seacrest guy watching the Times Square, the ball drop and all that good stuff?
Craig, we got a dog now, so we're on a strict schedule. You would think with a kid we'd have a strict schedule, but the dog is actually taking a little bit more of the time. So, we didn't want the dog with the fireworks going off to get in bed too late. So I didn't see Ryan Seacrest. I heard he's on The Price is Right now, or what's he on? Wheel of Fortune. He's on Wheel of Fortune now. My kid loves Wheel of Fortune.
I missed that one. I'm going to have to definitely check that out for sure. So, yeah, no, we did. We checked out Ryan Seacrest. Diana Ross was there, and we were debating whether or not she was lip syncing or not. It was great. It was fantastic. Good for her for being up there. It's just a weird look. You had Diana Ross, and then New Year's Day, you had Third Eye Blind as the halftime show. I know that was a big one for you. Rob had no idea who Third Eye Blind was. Maybe that's where he's at.
He's trying to figure out Third Eye Blind. I'll be honest. I went to the Orange Bowl in 2012, and they trotted out Train, and it's literally become a joke with my friends who were at the game with us. A, because, it was Train, and B, because Clemson lost by a ton that night. But it was just so bad. They obviously queued up the sound for TV, and in the stadium, it just didn't sound good. Plus, their music is hokey as heck. So, when I heard Third Eye Blind at the Orange Bowl, I'm like, there must be a problem. Was Gloria Stefan not available, or what?
I mean, who knows? The Miami Sound Machine, where are they at?
Obviously not in Miami.
Rob would have no clue with that. I'm glad that we're of a particular generation where we can get that. By the way, we're
alienating a certain group of your audience, I think.
We'll be okay. We'll get them. Probably before we get going, we should probably pay the bills. Do you want to maybe do our live read?
Yes.
SEC Sunday Night is part of the Chief Sports Network and brought to you by HD Law. Hit it, Casey.
SEC Sunday Night is brought to you each week by our friends, the Hewitt Domodoros Law Firm. The Hewitt Domodoros Law Firm is here for you when you're down. If you have a personal injury, car accident, fall, dog bite, you name it, Hewitt Domodoros is here for you. Brad and Dean are awesome. They're big on relationships and want to personally know and help you. You will not get a corporate lawyer in a box with these guys. They want to be personally involved with you in your case. Go to hdlawsc.com. That's hdlawsc.com today to contact Brad and Dean. Hewitt Domodoros, they are on your team.
Oh, that was so good. See, this is why we bring you in. This is why you are the closer. You do such a great job. Let's take a minute. We did have some CFB playoff games, some quarterfinal games that we're going to talk about. We got a great show lined up. We've got Jon Smith, who will be on with us in about 10 minutes. But first off, we want to look at some of the reactions, and we want to go over some of these games. And, Casey obviously is the esteemed producer of the Message Board Genius show. Casey, do you want to do one more read and talk about, the MBG show?
Sure. Happy New Year, unless you were in the SEC. Let's get it started with It Just Means More Genius, brought to you by our friends at the Message Board Geniuses podcast. MBG reminds us that if you are not happy, don't take a breath. Just fire everybody.
God, that was good, wasn't it?
It was so good.
Thank you, Gemini. And here's our first board. So, hang on. Oh, that is not the right board. Fire everybody. So, New Year's Eve, we have the Cotton Bowl, Miami and Ohio State. I think we all picked Ohio State. I don't think any of us picked Miami. We were thinking it's going to go well. Well, Casey, how'd it go?
I'll be honest, Craig, I did say the most important 5 players were those offensive linemen for Miami, and I was right there. I still didn't pick them, though. So our friend Truth Seeker from Letterman Row says, enjoy the 2024 run because that's as good as it'll ever get under day. He's Jimbo Fisher with better PR. Would be sick if he found another job soon. I guess sick meaning, again, we're talking to our audience. We're kind of elevating the age there. Would be sick, brah.
Sick, brah. Yeah. Not great by the Ohio State.
It's amazing. They're just such a heck of a fan base that as soon as he loses, does he have double-digit losses in his career yet?
I don't think he does, but the problem is he always loses like the important ones, right? Like it's either the Michigan
game. But he's there, Craig. He's there at the important ones.
I get it, but this is why you, I think, have a Message Board Genius show, though, is because of the Bucknuts and because of the Ohio State fandom, is they expect national championships. They expect Big Ten championships every year, and now he's 0-2 to start the season. So forget about the national championship. Forget about the undefeated regular season. Ryan Day once again underperforms, or at least that's the narrative that is going to go. I'm right there with you because, again, you fire Ryan Day, where are you going, Ohio State?
Well, I'll flip it up on you. You fire Ryan Day, how quickly does he have another job?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, yeah. Blue blood. People may fire people just to hire Ryan Day.
Yeah, and to me, I think the interesting part tomorrow is going to be Black Monday in the NFL. Does Ryan Day take a look and say, do I want all of this? And am I going to move on? I think that could be the interesting part that's going to maybe kick that carousel going again.
Yeah, and at some point, I think if you're Ryan Day, you have to. I think it's not good enough. Nothing is good enough. That's just, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I am no Ohio State apologist at all. Like I got into it with them. They're in my top 5 of least favorite sports teams in the country. Apologies to a few friends, but they are irrational, and that's coming from a Clemson fan.
Yeah. I am looking forward to talking with you a little bit about Miami and the U as we move on just a little bit. But we had another game, first one to kick off on New Year's of 2026. We had our Texas Tech Red Raiders fall to Oregon 23-0.
Yeah, this person, Texas OL05, maybe an alum, who knows? But he says, we didn't belong. These ST and offense scrubs had no business being on the field with a real playoff contender. We don't get a lot of Red Raider message boards on the show, but I think that may change this week.
But okay, so you're a Red Raiders fan. Yeah, it was disappointing because their offense looked anemic. But like, was 2025 a disappointment? I don't see how it possibly could. Cody Campbell, $25 million. You got a Big 12 championship. You go one loss. And here's the best part. After the game, what does he say? This is a proof of concept. Let's go, the Matador Club or whatever they call that. Grab your tortilla. We're going for round 2 in 2026. They're already looking at. They've got the kid from Cincinnati, the quarterback possibly coming in. They've already tabbed 2 receivers, so they understand. Hey, the offense needs to get going.
Yeah, that was the big sticking point. And I think that defense was so good all year, it kind of masked a lot of deficiencies. They even said it on the broadcast, like if you knew who Baron Morton was before the game, like congratulations, because a lot of the country did not. Quite honestly, I forgot. I knew his last name was Morton. I couldn't tell you his first name. And I know the running back was good too, but that was about. They had a receiver too, but that was about it. And they looked anemic against a really good Oregon defense.
Yeah, and I think that becomes a question of like when you're building in the portal. I think Texas Tech went really heavy into the defensive line. I think we talked about Miami's defensive line being very good. Texas Tech's defensive line was an $8 or $10 million on their own. They did really well, and you almost wonder like,
They
do
were
you go
awesome.
all in on defense or do you go on offense? Do you got to balance it? I mean, I don't know. It was a tough one, but to me again, this is a success. And this again is why I'm going to say that the portal and NIL has not ruined college football. Things like Texas Tech being able to be a top seeded team and to be able to win the Big 12. To me, this is only good things.
I agree.
Speaking of portal and NIL,
MBG says Alabama has 3 options if it wants to return to Nick Saban's standard. Our friend Iowa Bama fan, that's weird, says only way to ever get back to Nick Saban Bama standard would be 2, maybe 3 options. 1, hire Kirby. 2, hire Sig. 3, spend 40 to 50 million on a roster. All 3 are unrealistic, but the closest way I think we would see our top talent players play hard-nosed football, like we will have so many draft picks. It's just these guys don't play together. What do you think? Did they not play together, or did they just run up against a buzzsaw?
they ran up against a buzzsaw, but again, we talked about it a few weeks ago, did we not? We talked about on the college football when we talked about the selection committee. I called out the committee. I said the committee didn't have the courage to say, you know what, Alabama, you've got your ass basically handed to you the last so many weeks. You are not good enough to make the playoff, and you lost the SEC championship. You got trounced by Georgia, and Rob got all angry at me, and he's all upset. Well, they're still good. They're still good, but we've seen that they've had a major character flaw. They can't run the damn ball. They really just have looked broken. And what I don't, I'm going to say it, and I'm probably this is a shout out to our boy Polk. Notre Dame would have actually had a damn pulse. Notre Dame, hypothetically, Notre Dame, but if you look at the 2 seasons, Alabama was going down, trending down, and Notre Dame was trending upward. So like, it's
And that
just
whole eye test, Craig, eye test, that's what we hear all the time. Eye test, eye test.
Yeah.
Obviously, like these SEC teams are just so much better based on the eye test. Well, the eye test told you the last 3-4 weeks for Alabama that they were not good. So there was then excuses coming into play for every time Alabama didn't show up on the field.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they get in. Ultimately, they get trounced. They haven't been beat like that since 2018. And, the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, and that's that I think is the other piece. Here's what I do love about Signetti. He didn't give a damn about the score, did he? He just kept going and he kept scoring, and it was just like you saw like the Kylo Ren meme going more, more, more. So like to me that was classic Saban, and I think it's fantastic. And again, just like we were giving a shout out for Texas Tech, Indiana being good, the portal, NIL. All of these are good things for college football. Yeah, it sucks for the SEC, but these are good things. More and more teams now have an opportunity, And here's a shout out to my boy Rob, who always talks about patience. He wants to give a guy 4 or 5 years because of what he's dealing with Beamer and the Gamecocks. Signetti is showing you have the coach, you have a portal, you have a plan of what you're doing. You can get really good really quick, and you don't need time.
You know
It's
what that
Indiana,
was?
brother.
You know what that was, Craig?
What?
It was joyless murder ball. You
Yes.
know, my
Phenomenal.
colleague Courtney on the
Yes.
Message Board Geniuses show always talks about it. That game was absolutely flipped script, joyless murder ball. Signetti, even with his little finger guns to Pat McAfee before the game, had no real, emotion on his face. Then they had all those memes with, when he's just looking at it was joyless murder ball against the originators of joyless murder ball.
Yep. I think it was Andy Staples said this morning. Signetti did to Alabama what Alabama used to do to teams like pre-Kiffin, like pre-Kiffin. It was just an absolute, chef's kiss thing of beauty.
Yeah. It's
All
crazy.
right, I've avoided this for too long. I've got my dog shirt on. We've got Jon Smith coming in.
MBG says this Georgia fan thinks it's time for Kirby Smart to retire. AK Dog says Kirby needs to retire. If he's not going to make a deep fundamental changes, he's wired for CFB that no longer exists, and he is not doing a good job catching up. I had a question for you, Craig, to start the conversation, and you can take it from wherever you want to go.
Absolutely.
Is Kirby the new Dabo?
No, I don't think Kirby is the new Dabo. I do not.
He's not evolving
He's not
according
evolving.
according to AK Dog.
Well, AK Dog doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. That was a phenomenal game on New Year's. I was gonna say Saturday night, but I don't. I think it was Thursday night. I'm not even sure. Whatever New Year's Day was, whenever the Sugar Bowl was played, it was a phenomenal game. Did it suck that Georgia lost? Absolutely. But here's the thing: Ole Miss came out and they smashed. Like that was a physical game. That was a two teams that just wanted to beat the hell out of each other. That was exactly what we wanted of a college football playoff game. Somebody had to lose. I loved looking on social media on Friday morning, early Friday morning, late Thursday night. Josh Brooks, the athletic director at Georgia, gives Pete Golding a big hug. They both went to the same high school and just said, you know what, enjoy this. At some point in my life, we've gone through this and we've been too processed to next thing that I just wanted to embrace that moment. So no, I don't think Kirby Smart needs to retire. I think he had a young squad. We're going to talk about the portal in a little bit, and he dipped into actually Dabo's territory, grabbed a former cornerback of yours today. I think Kirby's doing just fine. I think the dogs are just fine.
I'll show you a highlight that you will cringe at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but I think overall, I think we're okay. Do you think Kirby needs to retire? Or do you think he's going to be okay?
No, he's going to be just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't lose games like that. And quite honestly, Craig, we needed that game Saturday. I was about to say Saturday night too, because the first game was that Oregon Texas Tech game, which was, extremely one-sided. Then you get the absolute obliteration of Alabama at the 4:00 game, 3:00 Central, and that was not fun. It was fun to watch for me because it was high scoring for one side anyway. And then you got that just absolute slobber knocker, as the WWE would say, between those two teams. And Ole Miss had to come back from a 9-point deficit at halftime. We kept hearing about that narrative from when they were up 9, and just the back and forth. Georgia was never really out of it until they had to go with that flea flicker stuff at the end. But even then with the 1 second, it's like anything can happen with this 1 second,
Yeah, I was so I felt bad for those guys bringing the stage back and forth. They just want to bring the stage and just be done. But you just saw Trinidad Chambliss and the way he played in the fourth quarter. Like I got the realization, I'm like, oh, I've seen this before. That was Jalen Hurts. That was Tua Tagovailoa just
Burrow.
coming in. Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah, like he couldn't miss. And hats off to Charlie Weiss Jr. Hats off to Pete Golding. Like Charlie Weiss Jr. kept attacking the dogs down the field. They just kept going. They kept running Lacey. They kept attacking. They were not afraid. I thought for a second there that they were, the moment was going to get a little bit too big when they, squandered that field goal opportunity just before halftime. But, Golding was fantastic. He comes out in the second half and said, "Hey, I told the guys. We were up 9 points, and they came back and won back in October. We're down 9 points. There's, everything's in front of us." And they just kept going, So hats off to both teams. I thought that was absolutely fantastic.
Absolute balls of steel on that. What was it, 4th and 2 call where he sent the tight end deep? I mean, just absolute. Yeah, you said it perfectly when you said they just kept attacking.
They just kept attacking, just going. So,
and both teams really did too.
Yeah, no, and like I said, did it suck? Yeah, absolutely. Do I want to see Georgia win? Absolutely. But guess what? It was a fantastic football game. And you know what? That's everything we're looking for. All right, we've got Jon Smith waiting for us here. It's 8:21 on SEC Sunday night. We're going to attempt to go to a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to bring John in. We're going to talk a little more dogs, and then we're going to talk the state of the SEC here on SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt. When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt DM. When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawse.com. hdlawse.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go!
He's having trouble tonight. You put him in charge.
It's okay. We won't tell Rob. We won't tell Rob. Casey, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
I'm good, John. It's great to see you, sir.
Great to see you.
I'm here. I'm good.
And move John to the middle because he deserves more light than me.
I need to be on the edge in case I need to slide out in this conversation.
There you go. We're moved. We're good. We're good. John, all right, ready? So this is how it was supposed to start. Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network. We would now like to welcome in a damn good dog to the show, Jon Smith, founder of Speakeasy Sports and host of the Dog Dispatch. John, can you please come be my producer because I sure in the hell cannot do this.
Listen, the last thing you want is me producing anything. I can talk. I would absolutely come on and talk, but you're doing a fine job as far as I'm concerned. You know, there is a guy who I have heard is some kind of producer that could help. But you would have to maybe he's under contract with Message Board Geniuses or something and can't.
I don't think I could afford him. I don't know if we can afford
exactly making that MBG money.
He got fired from the Big Game Boomer podcast though years ago.
All right,
phenomenal.
Deep cut.
Well, John, we brought you on. We're going to talk a little Georgia 2025. Casey thought the sky was falling. He thinks Kirby should retire. He's just cooked. What do you think about 2025? Was it a success?
I mean, I heard that Kirby was the new Dabo, is what I heard coming out of this guy's mouth. Listen, here, okay, I'm going to be an absolute realist. Let's start with the Ole Miss game. I'll make it very brief because I know you guys have already talked about it. Georgia, the team collectively did not do enough to win that game, period. And they still had a chance to win the game. Right. I mean, Georgia, they missed a field goal in the third quarter that would have put them up. They had a chance to be up 27-12 at one point, missed a field goal. They had a situation where it just terrible play calling on goal to go down there to try to either win the game or run the clock down, where Ole Miss wouldn't have a chance to come back and win the game. And then after all of that, they still had Ole Miss 3rd and 5, and Trinidad Chambliss like hits a 40-yard pass. It's like at the end of the day, sometimes you just get beat. And I think a lot of Georgia fans, myself included, I will put myself in this, but we are spoiled. Like, we are in a place where we have won so much and we are so used to these games when it comes down to winning time that Kirby Smart and his team finds a way to win it, that we don't know how to act when you don't find a way to win it. But guess what? Ohio State, the 2022 Peach Bowl, if Ohio State makes that field goal and wins that game, it's probably has been a totally different conversation the last 2 years, right? Georgia missed 2 field goals in that game. Stetson Bennett threw an interception. In the third quarter, Georgia went 3 and out, went 4 and out, went 4 and missed a field goal in the 2022 Peach Bowl. But all Georgia fans talk about is, oh, you had to outscore a team, and you outscored a team 42-41. Yeah, you also got lucky. The ball bounced your way. And at the end of the day, I think that piece of it, for the way this season ended, I think Georgia fans, we just have to be realistic around, listen, the margins are so thin in college football right now that ball, there's a good chance the ball isn't going to bounce your way in some of those games. It doesn't mean that you lower your expectations. It doesn't mean that you lower your standards or anything else, because I guarantee you one person who is not lowering their expectations, their standards, is Kirby Smart. And so if you told me at SEC Media Days, when Kirby Smart was reminding everyone that this football team was 54% second-year guys and younger, one of the youngest teams, maybe the youngest team in terms of starters in the SEC, if you said, hey, that team's going to beat every team they play, including Ole Miss, win the SEC championship, make a college football quarterfinal, like what do you want? Like, I think at the end of the day, yes, you want national championships, but also let's be real about where Kirby Smart is or isn't, right? I think he's a guy that has proven he can adapt and can evolve. And I think at the end of the day, if you look at the national championships that Kirby Smart won in 2021, won a national championship and didn't take anybody from the portal. 2022 took, I think it was like 3 guys, right? And now Georgia's taking guys from the portal, trying to fill gaps. And sometimes you hit on those guys and sometimes you don't. At the end of the day, I think this year, this year was a success for me with Georgia, because if you watch this team from the beginning of the year, you had games versus like Austin P, where everybody was like, this offense can't do anything. Then you turn around and the offense wins you the game at Tennessee because the defense could not stop anything. Like, I'm watching my language here, but the defense just could not stop anything, right? Won you that game versus Tennessee. All of a sudden the defense starts figuring stuff out, right? You're in a rock fight with Auburn, you're in a rock fight with Florida, and your defense is kind of blowing us back. Then you play Ole Miss, the defense could not stop anyone. The offense went out and won the football game for you when the defense could not do anything. And so I think that's the thing for me, is if you watch the evolution, there were times this year where it's like, hey, when the offense needed to win games a few times, they won a game. When the defense needed to win games a few times, they won a game. You got to a game where, unfortunately it happened in the Sugar Bowl, but you got to a game where you need to make, maybe you probably need to make 3 or 4 more plays, and you just didn't make them. And I think you can critique play calling and critique all these things, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's just the way the ball bounces, and that's not a strategy. I'm not a D1 head coach for a reason, but I can guarantee you that Kirby Smart will take a look at all of this, and he will say, hey, okay, we have a defense who gave up the least amount of explosive plays that Georgia has ever given up on defense outside of the COVID year, which was quite a few fewer games.
Yep.
Right. 81 explosive plays the entire year this defense gave up. And he gave up 6 or 7 of those in one game versus Ole Miss. It's like, it just happens, right? Like, at the end of the day, I think Kirby will fix it. And I think you're seeing that with, some of the, you will see that with some of the additions from the portal. You'll see that with some of the guys who decide to come back. And I think you'll see that also with, some of the guys who decide to move on.
And what if you would have, said that stat against Tennessee? Remember how many times we got beat deep against Tennessee that we would not have the explosive plays? I mean,
and Tennessee's another one, guys. Tennessee, if that kid doesn't, piss down his leg and makes that field goal, it's a whole different conversation, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, Georgia, you can't say, hey, damn, Gunnar Stockton, that 4th and 8 throw that he made to London Humphreys in the corner was elite, and Georgia, and all these things, and then turn around and be like, the offense sucks, fire everybody, burn it down. Like, you can't have both. Like, at the end of the day, yes, that's the same team. The same team that played Ole Miss, that put up 43 points. It's like, this offense put up 34 points and, should have put up more. Like, I think at the end of the day, the problem is in college football, which I know we'll talk about with a calendar and the portal and everything else. There's just no room for nuance, right? It is like, hey, either, if you're a program like Georgia, you win it all or you burn it all down, right? You win it all or everything sucks, right? If you're other programs, it's like, okay, you got to find a way to just get back to. We just need to get back to win. If we can get back to a conference championship game or win a conference championship game or whatever, like that's where we're trying to go to. And I think with Georgia, when you've won 3 SEC championships and 2 national titles in 5 years, that's just where you are.
You totally just ruined my next question, because I was like, you've had all of this great insight, and at no point have you mentioned the SEC championship, back-to-back SEC championships. I mean, this becomes the question, right? It's like, how are we measured now? Is it how far are we going to the playoff? Is it making the SEC championship? Is it winning an SEC championship?
There was a time in my life, if you told me Georgia was going to beat Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, and Georgia Tech in the same season, God,
that was it.
I would be the happiest person on the planet. I don't care. I wouldn't care what happened in the other games. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there, and again, it's totally fair and fine for fans to have their feelings and their opinions and their expectations. I promise you, my thing is, Kirby Smart, when he looks at this year, he came into the year and said, hey, we need to be able to run the ball. When we need to run it, we need to be able to stop the run when we need to stop it, and limit explosive plays. Like, he had very clear criteria on what they needed to improve. And by all measures, they improved in those areas. And I think, winning an SEC championship game, going 12-2, yes, it does matter, and it should matter. As long as that game is played and as long as they're handing out a trophy and a ring for it, it should matter. And if it doesn't matter, then I think, you just really have to reevaluate your fandom in 2025 college football. If those things don't matter to you anymore, if it's only national championship and that's what matters to you, and SEC championship doesn't matter, beating Florida and Auburn and Georgia Tech and Tennessee doesn't matter, and beating Alabama 28-7 in a game doesn't matter. If those things don't matter because of the way you lost the last one, then you are going to be an extremely, extremely miserable person being a sports fan.
Period. Like Ryan Day effect, man.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to be a miserable person. Ohio State fans want to fire Ryan Day. You know, it's like, y'all, come on. I heard y'all talking about this earlier. Yes, please get me a Georgia fan that wants to fire Kirby Smart. Please. Who are you gonna get? Give me a Ohio State fan that wants to fire Ryan Day. I mean, these guys, like, they really, you just have no concept of reality if you're living in a place where, because of the, you know, Georgia hasn't won a national championship in 3 years. Well, they didn't win one for 41 years. Okay?
Right.
Like 41. My entire life until 2021, they had not won one. So,
Right.
I mean, let's just.
But you're in it every year. You're in it every year to have a chance to do it, right?
Yeah, that's what you want. You want in August and in September and in October, you want to be in a place where you feel like, hey, this team has a shot.
Yep.
Right? You clearly are not always going to win it. And I think, you know, it's funny. I think some of my fellow Georgia fans who I love and adore and will bark with and everything else, but you get a little bit of that Alabama-itis where all of a sudden these games that really, really matter to players, really, really matter to coaches, really, really matter to a lot of the fan base, all of a sudden they don't matter to you because the only thing that matters is like these 2 or 3 games or this one thing. It's like, y'all, come on. That would be, you know, it's like my kids, right? If we were in a situation where like they only gave me a hug at Christmas, you know, and it's like, or take it back. If we were in a place where I only cared about the hug that they gave me at Christmas and I didn't care about the hug that they gave me in July, you know, and what kind of person would you be if it's like, hey, like, yeah, as long as my kid is nice, you know, I don't care about all the stuff that, you know, we do together as a family throughout the rest of the year. It's like, if we don't have a good Christmas, then, you know, we can forget it. Terrible year. It's like, what kind of person would you be? Like, just chill out a little bit.
I do have a soft spot. Sorry, Craig. I do have a soft spot for Kirby Smart, though, because if you take it back to about 10 years ago, he was very, very, very close to being head coach at a different SEC school. And I can't imagine what he would have done there. So as a Clemson guy, I'm not supposed to have any good feelings towards Georgia, although I love Athens and the people and a lot of Georgia fans. But man, oh man, thank you both. I want to thank you both right here live on the show.
Yes.
That is fantastic. But I think you bring up a good question.
People don't remember that.
Right. We trust me, we remember. We remember. But I think you bring up a good point where NIL, the portal, an expanded playoff. I don't think we are really we are pretty hardcore into college football. I would say that these 3 guys here and the folks that are listening. But I don't even think we understand what college football really is right now because we do think about the SEC winning 13 national championships in 17 years. That's not happening again. It's not because the SEC sucks or that the SEC is terrible. Sorry, Casey. Sorry, who's. But it's because college football is just different now. The landscape is different. I mean, my God, we have Miami, Ole Miss, and Indiana in the college football playoff in the Final Four. That is something that would be unfathomable 2019 or anytime previous. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's us trying to, figure out, well, what does success look like? Is it an SEC championship? Is it making a playoff game? Is it these different things?
I mean, you kind of say that, but you had TCU in a Final Four. You had Cincinnati in a Final Four. You had, Michigan State in a Final Four. You had a lot of teams in the Final Four. I think, people talk about because the SEC won so many of them. Yep. It's like, oh, but you had Washington in a Final Four. Like you've had other teams in a Final Four. I don't think what you're seeing necessarily right now is different, except for the fact that you have teams that you're like, okay, how many teams would have made a Final Four if they had an opportunity to play into the Final Four versus being selected into a Final Four? Yep. And so I don't think this is honestly, I think the portal has definitely transformed college football in terms of being able to go out and, and build a team, being able to go out and especially at the quarterback position, if you look at, Trinidad Chambliss, if you look at Fernando Mendoza, if you look at Carson Beck at Miami, if you look at the Dante Moore at Oregon, right? You have the ability to go out and find somebody, find a piece or two or more. In some cases, especially with Ole Miss and Indiana, to build, a team where it's 50+% of your starters are from the portal. But at the end of the day, I think this is college football. Like I think there's certainly parity, but I also think like I just think people don't give enough credit to the coach that Nick Saban was. People don't get enough credit to like what Kirby Smart was able to build at Georgia. Like it's just like y'all. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, there is more parity. Yes, these are things that we may not have been able to conceive. But the truth is, when you get teams with enough good players and those players are playing at a high level at the right time, this is what you're going to get, And I mean, like last year you had Ohio State and Texas, and I mean, I guess on the other side you had Notre Dame, Penn State, but like, I mean, it's not like this one is unique because it is Oregon. Well, Oregon's not even that unique because they've made the college football playoff a few times. I think it's unique.
They're like the
because
blue blood
Indiana-
this round, aren't they?
What's that?
I said that they basically become the blue blood compared to the others.
Yeah, they're the ones that have had the most opportunity at playing for or playing, in a playoff or playing for a national championship. But I don't think it's as different as people want to make it out to be in terms of like any indictment on the SEC or any indictment on what the college football playoff was, right? Because a lot of those SEC championships also came before his game, as a BCS like situation. And I don't know. I mean, you can rewind the tape. People can say whatever they want. Yep. Casey watched. We watched some of these teams, right? Like we watched Clemson. We watch like who tell me if you had a 12-team playoff, who was beating those Clemson teams or those Alabama teams? Who was beating 2019 LSU? Like who was beating 2022 Georgia? Like it's just like, or even 2021 Georgia with that defense. It's like, at the end of the day, yeah, you can look at it and say, well, it's an indictment on the SEC or any of these things. But at the end, but when I look at it, I'm like, man, there was some really damn good teams and some damn good coaches. And I think that's what you see now, right? Indiana is a damn good team with a damn good coach. Miami is interesting. Miami is interesting to me because I do think that Miami, I'm not as high on Miami. I think that Miami defense and the run game is just finding some things at the right time. I'm very interested to see them play Ole Miss. But I'm not surprised with Oregon and Indiana. Definitely not surprised with Ole Miss either.
What happened to our friend Carson Beck? I mean, he used to be the gunslinger. He used to sling the damn ball all over the place.
Game manager.
Now he's not even a game manager. I mean, a game manager throws for over 100 yards, and Beck, I mean, he had a couple. I mean, I will give Carson a props, and everyone knows I give him enough hell on here. But he had a couple of really nice throws on I think it's Wednesday night, we'll call it, where he was able to get Miami to convert a first down. But like, I mean, Shannon Dawson has taken the ball out of his hands. He is not throwing the ball down the field, and you and I both know it. Like we talked about it last week. When's the last big game that Carson Beck has actually won himself, whether it be on the road, in a neutral site?
No.
I just,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think Miami is the one that I'm a little bit. It's, again, it's congrats to them. They're winning games. They're finding ways to win games. They're winning them very old school, run the ball and play really, really good defense. And boy, they're gonna have to play really, really good defense against Ole Miss to win that game. But that's the one out of the four that I'm just like, okay, yeah, if you had a 12-team playoff, this is the kind of team that, okay, they found what was working. And I wasn't high on Texas A&M. Texas A&M didn't play an SEC team with a winning conference record until they played Texas and they got beat, right? Then they played Miami and they got beat. So they played two ranked teams in their last 10 games and they lost both of them. So I'm not super high on Texas A&M, but shout out to Miami, that defense and that run game for Ohio State. Boy, you're gonna have to really, really play some defense if they can't score if Carson Beck can't get the ball down the field and they can't score versus Ole Miss, because I think they're definitely going to have to outscore Ole Miss.
So, quick question on Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Casey Smith from Barstool, I thought, had a really interesting tweet that I wanted to bring up and get both of you guys' thoughts on. This is why the lane needs to go to LSU to be able to win a national title. Arguments were so antiquated and dumb. Let me emphasize, and dumb. You don't have to be at a brand name anymore. This Final Four proves that, and it's awesome. Agree or disagree with Miss Smith?
You go first, Casey.
I agree. No, no, I do. I actually do agree with it, and I don't know. I don't think Lane's ever come out and said that he needs to go to LSU to win a national championship. So, I mean, I know that narrative's out there, and I think if this was 5 years ago, absolutely, that would probably be the case. And Brian Kelly left Notre Dame because of the same reason, to go to LSU. So, I like the fact that it's all four teams that are kind of different, right? We had 6 years in the 2015 to 2022 where it was like you could just pencil in three of the four that were going to be in the playoff, and then it was just who was going to take their beating as the fourth. But yeah, I think this is it is dumb, and we share a name, spell it differently, but same brain.
Yeah. Are you related?
No relation.
I love it. You kind of look alike. No, I think I think it's just like right here somewhere. But no, I think listen, I think Casey's right. You don't have to be at a brand name anymore to win a national championship. I think the challenge is right with Lane Kiffin. I don't know that it's as dumb as she's trying to make it out to be, because I will say that Lane Kiffin was asked in sometime in October. I tweeted about it, about what makes a top job in college football, and he mentioned resources. He mentioned the ability to get kids to come play, but then he also mentioned like Heisman Trophy winners and national championships and all those things. Basically, you could tell at that time, like he was mentioning a lot of stuff that Ole Miss like did not have and has never had. And I think there is still, I think that piece of it to me is the piece that's like, no, like you don't need all that. Like you don't need to be at a school that's like won a bunch of national championships. You don't need to be at a school that's had a lot of Heisman Trophy winners. You don't need to be at a school that has 100,000 seat stadium. You don't need to be at any of that to win anymore. What you do need to be at, though, is a school that can. You need to be at a school that has the resources, and if they have the resources, they will let you use the resources to build the kind of team that you feel like you need to build. And that's the thing that was so wild to me about Ole Miss is like Lane Kiffin had all that. Like why? Like Ole Miss was literally giving him whatever he wanted. Like I don't, and so. To go to LSU, I think at the end of the day, I think it is he's making a lot more money, second highest paid coach in college football. He's going to get to go, walk out to 100,000 seat stadium with a light show and, playing neck and everything else. And I think it's like theater for him. I don't think he had to go, or any coach has to go to a brand name anymore, but you do have to go to a school that is going to have the resources, right? Like Indiana is even a good example where like Indiana is now paying Kurt Signetti $11.6 million, and he just unlocked the potential to by making the college football playoff semifinal in his contract. He unlocked another level that allows him to like renegotiate a little bit, and they have to like potentially pay him more, right? And so I think that you have to be at a school that can meet those thresholds. Yep. So can they pay you to be, if you're having success, can they pay to keep you, and can they also have the resources to get and keep players? But man, this whole like, yeah, you don't have to you don't have to be at Georgia or Alabama or any of these other brand name schools, Ohio State, etc., to win anymore. But I will say this, like I feel like it's a bubble. Like I feel like at the end of the day, We are on a bubble with college football. And Lane Kiffin, the one thing that LSU will give Lane Kiffin that he didn't have at Ole Miss is the ability to not have to work as hard. And I think that bubble is where we are with a lot of coaches. And like, even if you have the resources, like Kurt Signetti is just at a place where he was a head coach at James Madison. He became a head coach so much later in life at the D1 level that I think he's just hungry, right? Like I think he's just hungry. Like I think the guy just is like has an insatiable hunger to win and to prove, he has a chip on his shoulder and all these things. Somebody like Lane Kiffin, I don't think he's hungry. I think he gets to go to LSU and he has a lot more resources. He doesn't have to work as hard. He can pay a gazillion staffers a gazillion dollars. He can write bigger checks, like all
Hang
those
out with
things.
Kim Mulcahy.
Yeah.
Or Mulkey, whatever her name is, Kim Mulkey.
Kim Mulkey,
and also the high school recruiting. He doesn't have anybody to go against in this in-state.
Correct. So I think that's the bubble that we're on. I think a lot of these coaches, you don't have to be at a brand name, but I think a lot of them, a lot of the top coaches, I think we will see I think we'll see a lot of top coaches still continue to gravitate toward brand names because you just don't have to work as hard at those schools to get players.
It's the NFL model, isn't it?
It really is. And I will reiterate, I will go. I said it 3-4 weeks ago when Lane went. It is absolutely dumb. He had everything he wanted at Ole Miss. Did not need to go to LSU. And I think old Pete's going to get him. So sorry, Joy. Maybe you're going to have to switch to the Dogs from LSU. But
I'll say this. I don't think Lane Kiffin is going to win a national championship at LSU. I just don't. And it's not because Lane Kiffin, everybody looks and says, well, Les Miles won one and Ed Orgeron won one. That was a different college football in a different time. But I'll say this, like, I don't think Lane Kiffin has the attention span that it takes to win a national championship.
No.
I think the dude is so all over the place, and you've seen it. And I think you see it with Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin is gone. And I think Ole Miss is a more focused, grounded, more resilient, tougher team.
Do they win the Sugar Bowl with Lane? Do they win the Sugar Bowl? I said, do they win the Sugar Bowl with Lane?
Yeah. No. I firmly believe that they don't win that Sugar Bowl with Lane because I saw it at Georgia when Ole Miss came and Lane was there. Like you could see the demeanor when Georgia made had 2 3-and-outs in a row and scored and came back to take a lead. Like you just saw the wind was out of their sails, and that was just totally different than what you saw in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, coach. I always feel that the coaches will set the temperature of the team, and Lane is a guy. He likes to throw his clipboard. He likes to throw his fist when things are going well. If he starts to get his popcorn thrown all over the place, that energy goes down, and then everybody else kind of follows. Golding is just he's just got the pencil and he's got the iPad and he's ready to go. So
he is, yeah. Lane's just a turtle, right? I mean, he just goes back in his shell when things aren't going his way, and I think LSU, I think it'll be interesting to see because I think I've said this, I've tweeted this a few times now. Wherever Lane Kiffin goes, you end up talking a lot about Lane Kiffin and not a lot about his program or his players. And I think that's a feature and not a bug. I think that's how he designs it and how he wants it. And I think you will see, firmly believe that you will see. I mean, we've had more conversation about Trinidad Chambliss in the last couple of weeks than the entire year when Lane was there. Trinidad Chambliss, I think if Lane was not Lane Kiffin, I think Trinidad Chambliss could have been a Heisman finalist.
Should have been a Heisman.
Yeah, did nothing to promote, those guys did nothing, but sure did tweet a lot about, all kinds of crazy stuff. And now he's spending time tweeting about the Ole Miss fan base, retweeting tweets about the Ole Miss fan base from LSU burners. I just don't think it's going to be a disaster.
On that, we are going to come back. We're going to hit a break. We're going to try to hit a break. We're going to try to come back and unmuted. This is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network, brought to you by the Hewitt Domaduris Law Firm. We'll hit a break, and when we come back, we're going to check in on the transfer portal and make some freezing cold take predictions for the college football semifinal.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health.
Maybe.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe
This is SEC Sunday Night on the Chief Sports Network.
And we're back to SEC Sunday Night because welcome back to SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network. We are not going any more breaks. Craig is going to get fired from this show. John, this is why I am paid for the face and my talking. My goodness.
I love it. I love it.
And you know what? It's okay, because it'll be okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little transfer portal.
Let's do it.
I had an article that I put out this morning on Last Word on College Sports where I talked about that the college football calendar is absolutely broken and chaotic. I went through and we looked at when the season ended on November 30th till January 2nd when the portal happened. We had conference championships, we had national signing days, we had bowl season, we had first round matchups, quarterfinal matchups, semifinals. Quarterfinal matchups. The portal opens, and now we have semifinals. Oh yeah, and then we also have a coaching carousel going on. All of this kind of compressed into about 30 days. As a media member, it is insane because I think about National Signing Day, I think about the portal, and how those could be standalone entities, and where that could give us fodder to talk about for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Or in Casey's case, maybe a whole month, help him, do his preseason predictions. And, you look at last week, we had our quarterfinal matchups. The Ole Miss staff coached a game at the Sugar Bowl. They got done at about 10:55 Central Time. The next morning at 9 a.m., they had to be in Baton Rouge for the transfer portal meetings in there. And now there's question of who's going to Baton Rouge, who's going to Oxford. Apparently there's a private jet going like Uber between the two places, taking Charlie Weiss Jr. and everybody going back through. And you wonder, even for all these coaches, where's your focus? Is it on the semifinals? Is it on the transfer portal? What's happening? And it just, you look at it and say, is this really good for college football? Is this really what we want?
Yeah, I think I think when I finally realized that the calendar's broken, and I've been hearing it obviously, right? And you look at it from 30,000 foot view, and you're like, oh yeah, it's broken. But when I realized it really is, and that there's no policing of anything going on, is the Ole Miss situation. You have those 6 guys who are going to practice in the afternoon, then they're meeting back at Charlie Weiss's, I guess, brand new house, probably not even any furniture in there, and they're talking about transfer portal guys, and they're not allowed to talk to Ole Miss players, but maybe they are even just fooling around. I mean, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it because there's no rules in place, firm rules in place, and there's really no way to prove it. So it's man, it's not cool that. I don't know what the fix is. I feel like I'm just the old man yelling at clouds here today, especially with my preseason poll thoughts too. But these guys are coaching for one team, and obviously they poured themselves into it, right? Charlie Weiss Jr. called an immaculate game the other night, but I'm like, oh, I got my popcorn out. I'm ready for to see all the Ole Miss guys if they actually transfer, because then you're going to go, oh, when was that conversation? You know, I don't know. It's just interesting to me. But yeah, calendar's broken, short-windedly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Casey. I don't know how you fix it. There's a lot of solutions that people have floated out there. There's a lot of things that people have suggested. There's a lot of things that I think we will see potentially tried to fix the college football calendar. I think the real issue to me is it's pretty simple, right? It comes down to you want players to be able to make decisions that are best for themselves, because coaches can make decisions that are best for themselves. You want schools to be in a situation where they don't get penalized or get punished in some way, or have a disadvantage because they had a really good season with really good coaches, and all of a sudden those coaches take a job somewhere else because they were really good coaches and they got hired somewhere else. So now all of a sudden, it puts the players in the program in a bad spot. I think, excuse me, a couple of coaches have mentioned, Nick Saban mentioned this too, kind of like NFL model, right? Where it is like, hey, you have windows that are like free agency windows. You have windows that, are windows when you can talk to coaches, and when you can't, you have like these situations, kind of stood up. All of that is perfectly fine until you lay an academic calendar on top of it. And so at the end of the day, I think what college football is really going to have to reckon with over the next few years is college football, is it semi-pro light or is it college football? Because I think if it is semi-pro light, as everyone wants to make it out to be with contracts and NIL, and and now you have like Georgia's suing Damon Wilson for for transferring after signing a contract. Like there's the whole situation is it's pretty wild. And so I think you have to treat it as like, okay, if that's what it is, then let's treat it like that. And let's treat it like that and have, free agency windows, figure out academic calendars around it, figure out whatever needs to happen with the schooling portion of it. And I think that's the bigger issue, right? Is like, how do you navigate all of this within the context of actual academic calendars and it be a true college sport? Because I think where it's going eventually, and this is probably a long way down the road, but I think eventually it's going to go to a franchise model. It's going to go to where, Georgia football is Georgia Football LLC or Georgia Football Incorporated. And it's like, it's a licensed, the brand and everything through the University of Georgia. But at the end of the day, it's its own entity with its own employees and its own, kind of thing. And kids can go to school or they don't. And it's like, that's, what it becomes, I think, at some point, because I truly don't think there's any other way to fix it. If you're trying to make it like college baseball or college basketball, or the windows just don't work. The only way I think that you do fix it, with the academic calendar window, is you just condense everything. So start a week early. Mm-hmm. Conference championship games, you play them or you don't, but the playoffs start, early. There's no, 3 or 4 week breaks in between. You just play the games. Play the whole thing, and you finish it from August, the third, fourth week of August through the last week of December, and it's done. And I think if you do that, then that probably fixes a lot of these issues.
That was the one thing too that I saw, and I think about. I know a school goes back January 6th to go for a second semester. Portal doesn't close till what, the 16th.
The 16th.
So
Yep.
by the time a kid holds out, he's going 3, 4, 5 different visits. Now you're missing 2 weeks of class. I'm old, but I remember if you missed first syllabus day, you're getting dropped. So I know academics is something, but you're missing 2 weeks. The point is you're missing 2 weeks of school. Yeah. So if you're still a quote unquote student athlete, 2 weeks is a lot. 6 classes. I mean, that's a lot to miss and try to keep up. I know they're not taking like, astrophysics for the most part, but I certainly didn't either based on
it might be on the technical school on North Avenue. They might be taking astrophysics there, but that's about it. But my question is like, you move, just say and I don't think the coaches would really want this, but you move the portal to the spring. You put it in May, and we only have one portal. Then you fix the academic issue, and then you sort of like, again, I like what you're saying, John. You finish the season right around January 1st. Keep signing day where it is. Go through spring ball, see what you have. Go through with your new team, whatever that may be, and then that May portal is when you right size and fix everything. Now, coaches are going to complain about that because then we're not going to have the quarterbacks moving and things of that nature. But I don't know. I don't think there's a perfect solution here, and I think that's
I think they do so much. Excuse me. I think some of these top programs do so much in the spring, in terms of install, in terms of conditioning, in terms of meetings, and all these things that I think, I think that might be a tough sell to do it after all of that, right? But Kirby Smart and I think Dan Lanning was a number of coaches have said the only thing they really want is they just want to know, like, I just want to know what my roster is going to be for this year, and I want it to stay for this year, so I don't have to be like figuring stuff out, in the summer of what I have, what I don't have. And I think that's totally fair ask. And but it's so broken. It's just, and the other thing I'll say that's also broken in college football is just like this TCU quarterback is a good example for me. Josh Hoover, a kid who grew up, went to high school 45 minutes from TCU's campus, started 32 games for TCU, threw for almost 10,000 yards and 71 touchdowns, and now he's going to Indiana. It's like, what are we like? I think, like, to me, it's just that's just not college football. It's not college football. Like, at the end of the day, it's you're at a place where if you created a system where a guy is a hometown guy who grew up rooting for the school, became the starting quarterback of the school for almost 4 years now, started 32 games, and now all of a sudden, like, he decides to up and leave because he can get more money, get a better deal. To me, that just kind of thing is that's just the major symptom of like how broken this thing is, because TCU has money. Like, they have money, a lot of money at TCU, a lot of money in Texas. It wasn't a money issue. It was more of, I have an opportunity to go play for a contender. I have an opportunity to go play for another team. And also, by the way, this is my 5th year or whatever it is, 6th year. It's like, you got guys that are like, going to tell their kids about how good they were in their 7th year on their 3rd team. It's like, what are we doing?
CJ Finley.
Yeah. It's like, I was great in my 7th year after I, got to my 4th team and finally found the right offensive coordinator. It's like, I just don't. To me, that is what's really broken, and that is one thing that coaches can't do. Like, people can say, "Well, coaches can do it." They can't. They can't. A coach cannot just up and leave, and go like tomorrow and be like, "Oh, yep, I got this window. All right, I'm gonna go to this school. And they're gonna pay me." And then, "Oh, yep, that didn't work out. I'm gonna go to this school." Like, they can't, because they will be in a situation where either people will no longer hire them, or they're just in a situation where it's like contracts and buyouts and everything just become an issue. And I think that's the one thing that I do appreciate a little bit about schools they're starting to push back a little bit on players, which I like. If you want it to be, a business, don't get mad when it gets treated like a business. Damon Wilson and Mizzou, like, don't get mad when you have a clause in your contract that if you leave, that you owe Georgia $400,000 or whatever, and then Mizzou pays you $400,000, and then you don't pay it to Georgia. Like, don't get mad. Don't get mad.
Right.
If you want it to be a business, you're going to get treated like a business.
Yeah, gone are the days, like, it's a kiss of death now when a kid says dream school or dream offer, right? It doesn't even matter anymore, because if that dream school only gives you $500,000, but that other school down the street gives you $1 million.
Yeah.
But can you still be honored and blessed? Honored and blessed to be getting that. I'm just, it drives me nuts. I know. I shouldn't get upset. Couple of quick portal takes before we do our predictions. Ole Miss is cooking in the portal. They've got Nevada's edge, Jonathan Milando. He had 38 tackles, 5 sacks. They had Baylor's linebacker, Keaton Thomas, 105 tackles, 1 sack last year. Florida defensive back, Darif Denson, 1 interception, 95 tackles, 2 sacks. Auburn cornerback, number 2 overall, Jay Crawford. So Pete Golding apparently not worried about who's there and who's not. Definitely coming in there. Casey, tell me a little bit about Khalil Barnes. Clemson
Got absolutely
cornerback.
run over by Louisville running back, and it will be on every highlight reel that you'll ever see with this kid. I really liked him for 2 years. This year, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got a bag last year and just decided to stop playing. I thought he was fantastic. I think he was a freshman All-American 2 years ago. So he's got the tools, but this year did not do well for the 7-5 Clemson Tigers.
Well, the last time a defensive back
got kicked out of
Clemson was
for gun charges.
supposedly getting cooked and then got kicked off a team and ended up at Georgia. Georgia won a national championship. So I'll take it.
He had gun charges too.
Yes,
don't
he
worry about
he did have gun charges. AKC.
My buddy coached him, so
Yeah.
I know DK. DK was a great kid. I don't know. He just
Charges are very different from convictions, so let's just keep that.
They are. Last one I want to bring up, our guy Jackson Arnold hasn't found his way at Oklahoma or Auburn. In Dan Mullen we trust. He apparently has committed to UNLV. So good for Jackson Arnold. Maybe Dan can teach him to complete a forward pass. I don't know. But
can I add one? Didn't Kentucky and Arizona State are they trading? Are they just performing a trade here?
It's rumors, yeah. So Kentucky's got Cutter Boley, who I thought played pretty well. Came in for Zach Calzada. Still, question is out on what Sam Levitt's going to do. Sam Levitt is at Texas Tech. He's at LSU, but Kentucky is offering $5 or $6 million. So where was this money with Mark Stoops? This is the other thing that is so confusing. It's
they were paying it all to Mark Stoops.
Apparently,
they were paying Mark Stoops like $10 million a year or something.
So I guess but he's got Will Stein, who's we talk about the Ole Miss being a disaster. Oregon, their offensive coordinator is the new head coach of Kentucky. The defensive coordinator's the new head coach at Cal. There doesn't seem to be any issues there. Dan Lanning's just going business as usual. Another former damn good dog there. But Kentucky apparently is going to be, making a challenge. They've got the Texas running back, and then they've got Sam Levitt possibly coming in. I saw maybe something with Texas Tech and Levitt before we came on, so I'm not sure.
Wisner from Texas, the running back.
Yeah,
he's going to Kentucky. Sorry,
breaking news to
rumor.
Yeah,
Trey Wisner.
Yeah. So Kentucky apparently found a bag. They're selling that brown liquor, so they're doing okay.
Good for them.
All right.
Yeah. Kentucky has money. They're not spending on basketball anymore.
No, Cal's gone. Went and got his chicken money over in Arkansas.
Alabama beat the brakes off Kentucky, didn't they?
Nate Oates, by the way, former Michigan high school. Here's a little shout out for you. Here's a little thing you guys need to know. You always rip on me for being in Detroit up in the north. 2 of the quarterbacks in the college football playoff are from the great state of Michigan. Dante Moore played at Martin Luther King High School in Detroit, Michigan. I used to live in downtown Detroit. Looked out my window. That was my local public school. And then Trinidad Chambliss was out on the west side out in Grand Rapids, played at Forest Hills Northern High School. So shout out to the Mitten with that one. Let's finish up with some freezing cold takes. This week, Thursday and Friday, we have our college football playoff. Thursday night in the Fiesta Bowl, we will have Miami versus Ole Miss. The U is getting 3.5 points. Gentlemen, who is going to win this game?
Ole Miss. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't. Miami is built to beat. Their defense is built to beat teams like Texas A&M and Ohio State when they can make those teams one-dimensional, right? So if that defense can get pressure on the quarterback and be in a situation where it's like, oh, you can't run the ball and we're getting pressure on your quarterback, that's when Miami's going to beat you. I don't know, man. I watched Georgia get a lot of pressure on Trinidad Chambliss, and it didn't matter. And so I think like the pressure aspect of it with Trinidad Chambliss being able to make plays while getting pressured, if he can keep that up, I think Ole Miss is going to win the game. It would not surprise me if Miami does win it, but man, it's hard to watch that kid, 4 days ago, just be a freaking like hero, and also realize like the only game they lost this year was a game that they were up by 9 going into the fourth quarter in Athens.
Yep.
I mean, pretty good football team.
Ruben Bain, Akeem Messador. I mean, those guys were religiously beating the Ohio State offensive line. So what I did was I knew they were going to play the winner of Georgia and Ole Miss. So I started watching the offensive line probably for the first time. And everyone that listens to the Message Board Geniuses show knows I'm not an X's and O's guy at all. So I just started watching because Ruben Bain was just doing this little cross-face move every single time, and Ohio State couldn't stop it. That All-American right tackle just couldn't stop him. I think he's going to have a little bit more trouble, and John, you said it perfectly. Trinidad Chambliss is back there like Houdini, as the announcer said many, many times. He dropped back and like spun 3 times against a very good defensive front and was making plays. So they're going to have to, if they get to him, they have to hit him and bring him down. That's going to be the key. I love Miami's back end. I don't love Miami's linebackers, but they're okay. I do think the speed is going to be kind of brought up, and that's funny to say with Ohio State being the last opponent. I do think Ole Miss is faster than Ohio State. I do. It's going to be, and again, if they don't get Malachi Toney involved on offense in some way, I know Mark Fletcher's the way. I know giving him the ball and those 3 running backs that they have, or 2 others other than Mark Fletcher, I know, but they got to get Malachi Toney. That kid is way too dynamic to go almost – he was obsolete last week. You didn't see him much. They were trying to get him ball on the end arounds and stuff, but he was not getting any throws to him whatsoever. And he's so damn good. Anyway, I think Ole Miss does win.
You took a long way to get there. I was totally thinking you were going Miami the whole way.
I think what Craig said earlier, it sums it up. Like I watched Carson Beck for 2 years, and I watched some games where the Georgia coaching staff tried to trust Carson Beck, and he ended up, I think he threw 11 picks in 4 games. And I think Miami, we saw it the last couple of games. They haven't trusted the guy to actually go out. That's why Malachi Toney's not getting the ball, because they don't trust the quarterback to go out and win a game. And I think that's, if they can turn it on, if they can all, maybe they've been sandbagging and all of a sudden, Carson Beck will get out there slinging it around. But I just don't think Miami, the bottom line is I don't think Miami can score enough to keep up with Ole Miss. And I don't think it'll be, super high scoring game, but I think Ole Miss is going to score, 27 or 30. And I think Miami's just not going to be able to keep pace.
Yeah. Total number on this one's 52.5. I think in order to win this game, you're going to have a 3 by that number. And that means Carson Beck is going to have to throw it downfield, and that's going to be problematic. So give me Ole Miss and the Fighting Pete Goldings going to the national championship.
God, I want them to win the national championship so badly because I want to see Pete Golding standing on a stage getting the national championship trophy.
Big cigar and a big middle finger.
With no Lane Kiffin. God, that would be. Could you imagine the theater? Woof.
Anyway. You know, it'd be even better if he comes up in like yoga pants.
Pete Golding might be the guy that gets up there and like trash talks Lane Kiffin on the stage with the national championship trophy. If that happens.
I love everything about his press conferences. He just doesn't give a damn. He doesn't. Yeah, he's just going. The one thing I will complain about the games this week, Miami and Ole Miss should be playing in Atlanta. The Oregon and Indiana game should be in Arizona. Like, can we enough of college football doesn't make sense? Can we at least make it make sense? Let's make this make sense.
It's the only sport. It's the only sport that doesn't. They don't even try to incorporate a little bit of regional.
No. It's the only level of sport.
That's true.
Because D2 all the way down to freaking high school.
High school, yeah.
Like
But
no
I'm
other
saying
no
college
other
baseball.
level of sport. Yeah.
College basketball, they at least tried. Yes, the places are set. College baseball, they're not. But like you get a regional baseball in Clemson, you're getting a team from South Carolina that's coming, if not two, and then maybe a Georgia, Florida. You know, no one's flying from California to play in a regional in South Carolina. They keep it regional.
Yeah, the reporter asked a really hard hitting question for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. They had Lanning and Cignetti on the thing. They're like, how has it been, having to fly back and forth from like Florida to Oregon to Georgia? Lanning's like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Like,
I mean, it's
I'm still playing. I don't care.
but also is like have people ever worked a job like where you had to travel for work? Like it's not, I mean, I get it. I get that it's, you're taking a whole team and time change and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it's the worst it can be is a 5-hour flight. And you're on a chartered jet with like all the amenities.
And they're getting there 5 days early. So like they're not.
Yes, I don't think it's
no, but nobody's back of the birding either. Like everybody's got
this isn't. Yeah, exactly. I'm not.
Yeah, they're not red eye flight back to the East Coast and having to be at work at 6:30 in the morning.
I'm not sending 32E trying to get a cup of coffee, like to stay awake for the meeting that I have to go to.
That's perfect. All right. Well, in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in John's hometown, we have Oregon versus Indiana. The line, who's your daddy, is giving 4 points. What is going to happen? Can the Hoosiers go crazy and find their way to the championship? Casey?
I got nothing. The Hoosiers beat them by 10 in the regular season. I watched that game. It wasn't that close. Really, really hard to beat a team twice. You guys can look inward at the SEC and see that with Georgia and Alabama, Ole Miss and Georgia. It's really hard to beat a team twice. Therefore, Indiana all the way.
Kurt Cignetti has this Indiana team executing at a level that I just haven't seen. It's been a long time since I've seen. I mean, it's probably one of those. I mean, maybe even 2022 Georgia, like I mentioned with the Ohio State game. It's like you missed a couple field goals. Like you had situations that probably should have lost that game. It's probably one of those Clemson teams. Maybe that team with even that team with Trevor Lawrence that blew out Alabama. They still kind of stumbled a little bit there in the middle of the season in some close games. But I just think Kurt Cignetti, I think Indiana is playing so well, so efficiently. They seem so dialed in. And I love Dan Lanning. I love his passion. I love his energy. I mean, he was hilarious on these press conferences when they were talking about the defensive backs entering the portal, and they were talking about depth at defensive back, and he said he was just going to get out there and play. He's like, I think I'm just going to play. He's like, if I can't go, one of the other coaches will line up out there. It was like, I mean, he's like, he's just like so laid back. But I think Lanning, his Achilles heel is the guy just rolls the dice. And I don't know that this is Indiana. They're just so efficient. They execute at such a high level. Like if this is a close game, I don't trust Dan Lanning, and I do trust Kurt Cignetti. So I'm going to go with Indiana in a close one. But I just think, I think Cignetti they just make good decisions and they just execute at a high level. And Oregon, we've seen, this year still Dan Lanning, making questionable decisions around the goal line or on the fourth down and field position. It's like the guy just rolls the dice, and I like that about him, but I also think that that's going to get him again.
You look at, though, for the Orange Bowl, they were interviewing the defensive backs at Oregon, and what did you hear about? About the slights that the media was giving, how they were giving all of the love to Texas Tech, and nobody believed in little old Oregon and the Ducks. You got to believe that Dan Lanning, in his fueled way, is going to be motivating his boys talking about how big bad Indiana is going to come in and kick your ass and how everyone thinks that they're better.
Big bad Indiana.
I know
God,
it's so
we really just
it's
said
so
that.
it's so
God,
weird
we
to
really
say.
just said that.
We just said that. So what I'm going to say is I believe in Dan Lanning. I believe in the Dan Lanning pregame speech. Put it right into my veins. I'm taking the second Michigan high school quarterback to lead their college football team to a national championship. Give me the Oregon Ducks in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl.
God. I pray to God, y'all. Either way, let's just we can end on this. Either way, if we get
Maybe
Kurt,
if the button works.
if we get Kurt Signetti or Dan Lanning and Pete Golding in a week of national championship press conferences, God
Salty dog press
bless
conferences.
America. I like Mario Cristobal, but please do not give me Mario Cristobal. Give me
What do you
Dan
like?
Lanning
No.
or
I'm
Kurt
not
Signetti.
stopping because I want to know what you like about Mario Cristobal besides his recruiting. Please tell me.
No, I like I like the way he talks about football. I like the way he does press conferences. I don't think he's a good coach. I don't, but I do like.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, but I do like he can put on some pretty good press conferences. But y'all, the absolute cinema that is going to be if you have Kurt Signetti and Pete Golding or Dan Lanning and Pete Golding for a week leading up to a national championship. God bless America. I would love to see that. I don't think there's enough dump if it's Dan Lanning and Pete Golding, I don't think there's enough dump buttons or like delays. Like I think I think it's just there's gonna be some F-bombs or something being dropped.
Bring him on
live
SEC
TV.
Sunday
On
night.
live TV. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
We won't hit the dump button on you. We
We
won't.
can only bleep so much. You know how hard that is?
Yeah.
No, we don't, because we don't bleep it. Unlike you, buddy. Like we're going back through. We're live. We can't even hit the commercial breaks in SEC Sunday night. We're not even going to hit the dump button. Who knows what's going to happen there? So we got our games Thursday and Friday night. We'll be back next Sunday night for SEC Sunday night, presented by the Chief Sports Network. We pray to God that Rob will be back and that I will no longer have to produce this show because somebody's going to get fired. For John, for Casey, Happy New Year, everybody. Go Rebels, go Ducks. Have a great evening.
Gotta hit